And happy Survivor Girl Sunday, everybody. I'm so glad that you are joining me tonight. I know last week I was supposed to have an episode. However, due to my aunt's passing, I just really wasn't feeling up to doing the show. There's a lot of things emotionally that just kind of hit me that day, not just with her passing and everything, but she had also passed of cancer. So for me, I kind of went into a little bit of a panic mode due to being a survivor of cancer myself. And, you just kind of, once you've experienced that and you have close family members or friends that pass away, sometimes it kind of hits harder than expected. And one of the big things that I was struggling with last week was worrying because not only has my mom or my aunt passed away from cancer, but my other aunt on the other side, my mother and my grandmother have passed away from cancer. And, you start to think about being the only survivor of the strongest women that you knew in your family, and going forward with that is really, really taxing mentally. And then you start to worry about having to go through that all over again. So last week I just had to take a little break, and I promote mental health and having to just kind of step back and be honest sometimes about what it is that you need to do for yourself, for your mental health, and for your self care. And that is exactly what was needed last Sunday. So thank you guys again for joining me. I'm so glad that you guys are here. I have some really, really, really good news though. Um, During this week, I got the news that our guest that we had on, Brad Glassford, was able to get his money for his scooter, his mobility scooter. So I wanted to share that with you guys because that was a good turn to the week after everything that had happened. To see that he was able to have money raised, and all of you that had helped out, he is definitely appreciative of that, and he is now able to get around easier than being able to have that mobility back and be able to keep moving forward with his life. So, thank you to everybody who was able to share that, like it, and help donate because now he is able to have that mobility scooter. So, thank you guys again for that. It was great to have him on the show. And I just want to give a shout out to all of those that have joined me on Survivor Girl. We appreciate that. All of these episodes that we have now and from the past are still touching people's lives, and that is really what Survivor Girl is all about. Being able to help uplift and, also help others that are going through things to feel like they are not alone. So, with that being said, the disclaimer that I usually go about with the show is that I am not a licensed profession. I cannot treat or prescribe. I am not a psychologist. I do have a mental first aid background, but that is just a minimal certificate, so I cannot help with any of those. But however, I'm able to help to direct people into the right direction if they do need help. So, just really here to help continue to uplift and inspire others by sharing my story, the things that I go through on a daily or weekly basis, and also to have guests back in the studio. So, still working towards that. So, if you have a story and you are a survivor, please give me a message or inbox to let me know if you would be interested in joining me with sharing your story on the show. We are starting to get guests back in, and if you want to get on one of the episodes, we'll talk and see if I can have you fit in somewhere. So thank you guys for again still supporting. And also for sharing your stories, whether it be on Survivor Girl or just in your everyday life, because that does help people and it also helps you to heal as you go along and you keep on thriving and surviving. So, I want to go over a couple other different things. Birthday happened after that Thursday. Last Thursday, my birthday happened, and from moving the day before or on my birthday, no, the day before my birthday, I had a little bit of a rough patch too. I was doing really good, excited about turning 40, leveling up as I like to call it, and I had a little bit of a rough patch there that day. Um, so, all of you that have tuned in before, Adam is my fiance. Him and I are 11 years apart. He is the younger one. And his brother jokingly, not trying to call him out on my show, but jokingly was saying that I was over the hill. For me, that kind of stung a little bit, even though I know it was all in good fun. However, being an emotional person, it kind of hit me, and I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life all of a sudden? I was dead set. I was going. I was excited. I'm like, I'm doing this. 40s is going to be fabulous. I got so many things that I want to accomplish in these next 40 years with growth and getting myself right. And then that kind of happened, and I was like, wait a minute. So I started to overthink things because, who's best at that but ourselves, right? So I start overthinking things. I get emotional, and I start telling him and throwing things at him with everything that I can, saying, you're younger than me. You could go out and find somebody and have kids if you want to have kids because I cannot have kids. Just all these little things that started playing in my head, and the negative talk, the negative self-talk, the negative, like the sky is falling thing, which doesn't happen that often for me anymore because mentally I am aware of a lot of things in my life and I work towards them daily. I have a routine that's helped me to continue to evolve into growing with mental health and all these different things because, the truth of the matter is I have been diagnosed with depression and anxiety. A long time ago when I first started to go into therapy and working on my mental health, I dealt with possible like bipolar disorder and things like that. Come to find out that that was a misdiagnosis, and I found out that depression and anxiety or something. They're on the lower spectrum, but to deal with that is still tough, no matter where you're at with it. You could have great days. You can have days where all of a sudden it just kind of turns on whatever. And if for somebody who is emotional and is an overthinker, that can happen more often than you would expect. And that was part of that day before we even headed out to go and enjoy my day. It turned around. We had a really, really great time. My birthday was amazing. We got to go out and got to celebrate. And actually, on Thursday, we kind of just stuck home that day. And then on Friday is when I got to go out and do all kinds of stuff. So, another thing that I've experienced throughout my life, not only with depression and anxiety, is dealing with being a little bit more, having more of an anxiety with money situation, bills, and whatnot. One of the big things growing up is I learned to pay your rent and then take care of whatever else you could because if you lost your electricity or whatnot, at least you still had a roof over your head. Okay. And that has created so many things because throughout life we dealt with a lot of different stuff financially. And so when I turned old enough, it was okay, pay my rent, and then when I get to my other bills, I'll get to it. So I landed myself in quite a bit of debt. Not bad as some people, honestly, because I finally went back and I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's not really as bad as I really thought it was. So, on that day, of course, I also decided to take a look at all of that stuff and where I could start to dwindle that stuff down to get my credit score up and whatever. And so that really kind of set me on this pace, this rolling down the hill thing. And looking at that and knowing that I have issues like with financial stress, I'll say, that didn't help. That didn't help at all. So, I'm working through these different books that I have, like journals and questions about yourself, about your life and everything. So you really have to take a look at your makeup and everything that you deal with on a basis, experiences that you've dealt with. Maybe it's a stressful situation, maybe it's not so stressful. And that was one of the questions, is something that kind of throws me off. What is something that throws you off and how do you deal with it? Well, for me, it's financial stress. We are doing really great. And that's new to me, to be able to have bills paid on time and not worry so much about bills, which is incredible. But with that being said, I started to not spend money on myself for a long time. So starting to kind of get a couple things here and there and have a guilt about it is it's a tough thing to deal with. So I'm relearning all of these things, not only, being healthy about spending money and about things that are truly needed, as well as trying to downsize and everything. It's just a whole bunch of stuff. There's a lot of things that I'm trying to work towards, mentally and physically. We're always working on improving ourselves. There's always room for improvement. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take a look. I do have a couple things going on in chat on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and give a couple shout outs here. Katie My survivor sister from Virus Spirit 2020 is joining in. I got to meet up with her this week. She's got some stuff going on. She says, "I'm there, girl, right now. Biopsy tomorrow." So we want to throw some prayers up for Katie. Katie is a survivor sister right along. She's got some stuff going on. So if you guys are the praying type, please go ahead, put your hands together for her, and put some prayers up for her on this biopsy tomorrow. There is nothing more scary than being a cancer survivor and getting told that you might possibly be dealing or facing that again. So we've had some talks, and girl, I'm always here, and anybody else that's going through it, I might not be able to answer your message right away, but I will try my very best to talk with you if that's what you need, or help to direct you in places where I went through talking with her. And with my aunt's passing, I also decided to get more proactive with my treatments and things. I'm not going through any treatments right now or anything like that. Everything is good. I'm still in remission, 6 years of surviving. However, there are testing that you can do if you know that you have cancer in your family, and I am getting a hold of Ann Arbor and trying to get that testing done. So I can see the preventative measures of what I may need to do, changing my diet, exercise, whatever in life. So there are those kind of things. Ann Arbor is a really, really great hospital that I've went to myself. However, sadly, apparently 2 years has went by that I've seen my surgeon, and after the last time I seen her, she actually has retired, which is a bummer. She was really awesome. So, but I wish her the best in life and her new journey. So, also, Adam, who I was just talking about, my fiance is tuning in, says, "Sounding great, checking in." Well, thank you for joining us, and everybody else. If you are in chat, go ahead and say hi. I will take a minute when I can and bring it up. Also, I have Tony and Mike are hanging out on the other side with Twitch going on. Nothing's happening over there. Another thing that YouTube is better. So, talking about the birthday and turning 40, moving forward after my little meltdown and owning that shit, um, I've decided after that to start going with the idea of waking up each morning with thinking that 40s are fabulous, because I feel like going through your 20s, you are just really starting to stand on you're trying to learn, get a feel for life, figure out where you're at, where you're going with it. 30s, you're kind of going back and trying to fix the mistakes that you made in your 20s. And 40s, I feel like, are definitely room for growth and to let go of things that the negative self talk, the worrying about what other people think about you, worrying about, just the way that you look, different things like that, and just kind of letting go and just living in your 40s, because you never know how much time that you really have. And I think at any age, you really should be just living your best life, because I always say that life is best lived, and it's super important to figure out what's best for your life. We're always going to have somebody who doesn't think what you are doing is appropriate in your life. Got news for you. That's fine if you want to think that. If people think that, that's fine. But ultimately, what it comes down to is you have to make those decisions, and you have to learn those lessons that you have in your life. So, I've struggled with that throughout my life too, worrying about what other people think about what it is I'm doing, what I'm wearing, how I look, and a couple weeks ago when I did the episode, or 3 weeks ago now, I would say, I went back and I was talking about just being yourself, stripped down, took the makeup off, everything, and just was myself, being my authentic self. And, that's a crazy journey to be on, to try to figure out exactly who you are, no matter what age. But I feel like it doesn't matter what age you're at, that you still have dreams, you still have things to move forward to look forward to, and to try to reach for in your life. I've thought over and over, I couldn't decide of just one specific thing that I wanted to do with my life, because, there's so many things that you can do, things that you can learn. Even today, I was working on the life coaching again, getting back into it. And Tony, I want to ask you, if you remember, I'm going to pick your brain on this. Is it NPL or NLP? It's NPL, isn't it? The brain training? It's way back, so you have to think on it. NPL. I wanted to touch a little bit on that. I don't know if it's correct, but I'll figure that out for you guys. But I think it is NPL training or NLP training. So basically what it is, and this was really interesting. I'm going to take a drink here really quick. Sorry, guys, I get a little bit dry there, but it's very interesting because they're talking about thinking of things and how to rewire your negative thinking, negative self-talk, negative, the voice that comes up in your head tells you can't do it or you look fat in that outfit or whatever. Anything that comes to mind that you is negative towards you. So what it's talking about is, okay, one of my big ones is after losing weight and doing the weight loss surgery, my arms they bother me. I hate it. They hang whatever. However, a positive thing on that note is I'm healthier. I've lost weight. I've done the things that I need to get my health under control. So, but in my head, when I look in the mirror and I see my arms like that, I go, ugh, my arms are flabby. Yuck. So what they're trying to tell you to do is to think of it when you hear your voice. Is it NLP? Got it? There we go. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. So when you get this in your head, what they ask you is it your voice that you're hearing? Is it somebody else's voice that you're hearing when you hear the negative self-talk or whatever? Are you seeing this, or I'm trying to think of it because there was a couple different scenarios. And then they go to tell you what she brought up, and this is off of, how do you say it? I say you to me, but you say it a different way. Udemy. You can get classes and stuff on there, and that's where we're doing the life coaching. We are not sponsored by them or anything. But so what she's talking about in the training is putting it in your head of it being Yoda's voice or Sylvester Stallone's voice, something funny. Because honestly, if you hear that in your head when you're thinking negatively about my arms, I mean, how funny would that be to hear Yoda saying, flabby arms you have, or whatever, you know what I mean? So, like, retraining your brain to think of a situation and to do it differently because you can't take it seriously. And negative self-talk really can mess you up in your head. It can really mess you up. So trying to figure this different stuff out, and I'm still learning on this stuff, but I thought that was a very interesting, subject because I do that a lot. I do that a lot. Even if I have grown and healed as much as I have and how far I've come, I still have the negative thoughts in my head. And I'm sure a lot of you face this. And that's why I wanted to bring it up today, because I know deep down I am not the only one that's ever experienced that. A lot of these things that I bring up on Survivor Girl, I know are stuff that you guys feel also, that you guys deal with. And I don't know why we have that in our heads or why, the negative happens. But there are some people out there that are just positive people. They just are able to cruise through it. And it also talks about having those kind of people in your life to help you to continue to learn how to be positive and how to face things differently. Because no matter which way you look at it, we're always going to have something that comes down in life it's going to mess you up. It's going to stop you in your tracks. Because you have to problem solve it. You have to figure it out. You have to figure out which way to go around it or how you're going to still continue to keep moving forward. And that doesn't make life easy at all when stuff like this comes up. We aren't trained and we don't learn how to deal with things like that. When we go to school, we're taught how to do, our math, English, all that kind of curricular, and stuff like that. But when it comes down to losing somebody that we love, nobody teaches you that. Nobody teaches you how to get through that. Nobody teaches you the mental health part of dealing with traumas in your life, or how to not give up and keep moving forward. And that's a tough thing. So learning in this life coaching stuff is very interesting. And I find this part of it for sure to be very helpful in the stuff that I deal with on a daily basis as well. So that's another part of, the Fabulous 40s thing that I'm trying to move forward to and start talking more positive towards myself, because when you are talking negative towards yourself, you start to believe it. You really start to believe it. And after a while, you don't try to keep on going towards the things that you were wanting to do. You get sidetracked by these negative thoughts. So maybe that's something to kind of try. I might try to put up some stuff about more of that so you guys can read up on it and try to do these practices or tests on your own or whatever to try to help yourself with not doing the negative self talk and try to talk more positive. So I'm still working through this simple abundance book, which I actually brought today. So I hope you guys can see it. I talked a little bit about it, and this was where the authentic self came through. This book actually I found on Amazon. This one is a copy from my mom, but I did find it on Amazon for like $3.99. There's a whole bunch that you guys, because it is an older book. So if you guys are interested in it, it's very cool. The one that I was reading today actually really spoke to me, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So it goes by day, and today today is the 19th, right? I lose days too, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. So July 19th, carving out time for personal pursuits that bring contentment. So this book is by Sarah Ban Breathnach, I think, Simple Abundance. So this is not anything that I wrote. It is not from me. So the quote that starts out with, and it has a quote on each day. It is the soul's duty to be loyal to its own desires. It must abandon itself to its master possession. Rebecca West. So after putting down her pen, novelist Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings cooked up plots as she baked pies. Isaac arranged flowers. Katharine Hepburn whiled away the long stretches on movie sets by knitting. Queen Victoria filled dozens of sketchbooks with charming watercolors of her children that revealed a glimpse of the real woman who delighted in holding a brush when not ruling an empire. We are traditionally rather proud of ourselves for having slipped creative work in there between the domestic chores and obligations. Writer Toni Morrison has observed, I am not sure we deserve such big and pulses for that, but the house calls to us, the children call to us, work calls to us. When then does the painting or the poem call to us? Probably every day. But we're too busy listening to everybody else instead of our own authentic self. So there's that again. And of course, I lost my spot there because that's me. Maybe it's because we've convinced ourselves that we really don't have the time for personal pursuits that bring us contentment if they take longer than 15 minutes. Perhaps we don't hear the whispers of authentic longing because we don't want to hear. If we hear, we might have to acknowledge, even respond. We're afraid to hear the promptings of the woman who wants to learn how to draw, dance, raise orchids, reupholster a chair, cook Szechuan. We might have to take a class or buy a book, a pad and a pencil, a leotard, a plant, a fabric, or how do you say that? Hoisin sauce or H-O-I Hosen. Help me out here. Okay, anyway, sorry guys. No time to be passionate. We have to be practical. Essential, uncompromised longings will have to wait until there's more time. When the children are back in school, when mom's feeling better, when things let up at the office. How about an answer we haven't heard before? How about my authentic passion will have to wait until I'm ready to admit that pursuing them is essential for my happiness? How about I haven't learned yet how to put myself on the list of priorities? Notice I didn't suggest putting yourself first. I just want to get you on the list. The Victorian writer Mary Ann Evans knew how to be practical about her passion for writing. She assumed a man's pen name, George Eliot, so that her novels Middlemarch, Salesmariner, and The Mill of the Floss would be published in an age that discounted the authentic longing of women. This published in the age, that is what she says about master passions. It seems to me we can never give up longing and wishing while we are thoroughly alive. There are certain things we feel to be beautiful and good. We must hunger after them. Space and time to nurture our creativity may be one of our authentic hungers. Perhaps we think that the only food, drink, work, sex, shopping, or pills can reduce the gnawing to a dull throb. But maybe if we took an hour a day to paint, to plot, or to throw pots, we wouldn't be in pain, physical or psychic, just maybe. So that just really, really spoke to me. And I'm sure a lot of you are so busy in your everyday life that you don't take time to fulfill those passions. I seen a friend of mine recently post about, and again, I need another drink, sorry guys, about wanting to be with somebody, but he was super afraid that if he got with that person, that he would not be able to do all the things that he's doing now, like his exercise and cooking the food that he enjoys, and being able to watch whatever anime or shows or whatever it is that he's into, his music that he likes, and all these things, and continue this routine, which I'm sure a lot of you in relationships or wanting to be in a relationship has thought about this stuff. You get set in your ways of things that you do for yourself on a daily basis, that when you get into a relationship, things kind of shift or go to the wayside. Or if you are just in generally busy with work or whatever it is that you're doing, that you put yourself last as opposed to doing these things that you enjoy. So it's not selfish to want to continue to do the things that or that are passionate to you, that make you feel like you are alive. Those are super important. That is something that you should always be able to continue, even if you are in a relationship or if you are working, to try to find time instead of saying, well, I don't have time for this. If it's something that you truly are passionate about and that you truly love, you'll find time. You'll make time for it. My mornings start out, and if you've ever listened to the show, this is going to be a repeat for you guys. But my mornings always start out with my prayer and devotions. I call it now creative movement. I try to get that in. I work on, like I said, I have these different journals now, which I got for my birthday. Thank you, Adam. That I can write stuff down about how I feel, about what empowers me, all kinds of things. And they're prompting, like they have questions, and it makes you really think about yourself and what you want in life. I also suggest getting a gratitude journal. Those are fantastic. I had one and I already went through it and filled it. And I'm somebody that never could commit to a journal. I would buy like 5, 10, 20, whatever, and I'd write in a couple pages, lose it, and then have to buy a new one, or very bad at hoarding journals and stationery and stuff like that. But, and we all have great intentions when we buy them, just like we have great intentions when we buy planners. We want to get our shit together. We want to be able to be able to be accountable and to get stuff done and to feel proud of ourselves. To have that gratification that I did something, I accomplished something. I am a list maker every day. I still do it every day, but you know what? It's routine. Routines are important. If you stray, like I've strayed a couple times from my routine, but before it used to be if I strayed away from it, that was it. I wasn't going back to it. I got news for you. Tomorrow's a new day. Just because you strayed away for it one day doesn't mean that you can't get back on track. Same thing with your diet or what you're eating. You may have a day where you want to eat nothing but brownies and cookies. I don't suggest it, but I've done it. Or a whole thing of Oreos way back when. Whatever, don't judge me. But, this stuff happens because we're human, okay? We're human. We do things like this. We watch TV, get stuck in what we're doing, and eat, before you know it, have half of an ice cream gone or more, because we do stuff like that, because we don't pay attention to what we're doing sometimes. We get enthralled in what we're doing when we're watching a show or whatever it is. So instead of being a jerk to yourself, go, okay, yeah, that was a bad idea. However, tomorrow's another day. I will stay away from the freezer next time I go to the store and not get ice cream, or I'll get a smaller one, or I'll go with a friend and we'll share an ice cream. Whatever it is that you have to do, stop being mean to yourself and going, yeah, well, there goes that negative talk again in your brain going, yeah, I'm a fat ass. I did this. Whatever it is that you say to yourself, stop it. Stop. You're human. You make mistakes. Tomorrow's a new day. I'm not saying don't eat that piece of cake for breakfast because that's also part of living as well. But stop being mean to yourself about it. Own it. Okay? So you ate a piece of cake for breakfast, get on the bike, go walk, do something. That stuff is really good for you too. That's another thing that I found. Being able to walk or get up and do some kind of movement also helps to stimulate your brain and get you thinking in a more positive too. Those endorphins kick in and it helps a lot. It helps. I'm definitely somebody who is motivated by that as well. I found all kinds of really fun little like 5Ks that you can do at home, and you get shirts and medals and things. Of course, I'm not sponsored by anything. These are just ideas. This is not something I'm telling you guys to go out and absolutely do. I'm just talking about experience and things that I found that seem to help me out. You know, like I said, this book is something that I read every single day, and it has really good insight. Like, you know, there was stuff about gardening, stuff about cooking, stuff about putting together a box of stuff that you want to pamper yourself with, you know, face masks, lotions, candles, whatever it is, and saving it and putting it away for a day when you really absolutely need it, which some people need often, so you'll be refilling it. But that happens. I mean, to take the stress levels down because our lives are stressful. Even now, even more so now, I should say, with everything. So, you know, I'm not trying to steer too far away from what I'm going off the subject here, but self care and reminding yourself that you are worth it and you need to take time to be able to do those. Get creative. If there's paint, if you used to paint and you absolutely loved painting, you did a great job, find your paintbrushes, get back to it, find that creative, you know, creativity and do something with it. Don't let it die. If you have somebody in your life that's not supportive of you being able to do these things that you love, still do it. You have to, because at the end of the day, who are you with? You're with yourself. People come and go in and out of our lives, and that's just the truth. So we have to try to be mindful of how we take care of ourselves, no matter who we're with or who we're not with. You know, and that's a hard lesson that I've learned in the past as well. I have done that. I have stopped talking with people. I've stopped doing the things that really lit my soul on fire, my passion and everything. And it wasn't a good situation. I stopped doing the things that were important to me that I loved. And I'm not saying be selfish and completely like disregard your, you know, person that you're with, because there's things I'm sure that they love to do too that you might not like. That you might, but you know, you have to find a happy balance there to be able to support, you know. And I'm fortunate, and I know I talk about Adam a lot on the show, is because this is life, this is my life, this is part of my life, this is part of my thriving and surviving. So with him, he has, I'm not saying unhealthy fishing habits or whatever, but he loves fishing. That is, he lives it, eats, sleeps, breathes it. I like fishing as well. I do. I love fishing. I love going with him. I like getting out in the kayak. That's exercise. It's, you know, adventure. It's fun. I like doing it. But he also supports me in my crafting and all of these crazy things that I do, the podcast, events, whatever it is. Like yesterday, he went and sat with me while I did an event. And, you know, we got the tent, we got the table, we got set up. No harm, no foul. Teamwork, you know, that's a hard thing to do, but we finally have. There's times, even in the heat yesterday, I told on the way home, I'm like, I'm proud of myself. And he's smiling. He says, well, what do you, you know, kind of looks at me and like, what do you mean? I said, I didn't even yell at you. I didn't freak out. I wasn't like, no, it goes like this. I said, you know what? We set up. If we're late setting up, oh well. They'll walk around, they'll look at what I got out, and then we'll get there. It's trying to find that balance to not, especially if you have anxiety and depression, to not let those kind of things derail you. Because if you are trying to get something done or you want to accomplish something, stop trying to put too much pressure on yourselves. That's super important. List, yes, I make them. I said it. I love list. One of the things though, you can do what you don't get done the next day. You can make your list out by priority. You can make it out what you feel needs to get done right away, or what you'd like to get done. You know, so with me in the morning, my routine, like I said, I've said this a lot on the other episodes, and I apologize if it sounds like redundant, but it's important. If you are a list maker, make your list. Then also remember, not every day you're going to be able to do this. However, I have been famous for missing things, not remembering stuff, getting, you know, going late, missing appointments, different things like that. Since I started doing routine and lists, I write it down so I know for the next day I've got it. It's important. I am adulting. I need to take a minute for that one. I'm adulting, and it's crazy. Fabulous 40s. Here we go. So, you know, but find your niche, find your routine. You know, I practice my kalimba, which sounds funny, but that's another form of relaxation for me. You know, meditation, whatever it is, just own it, you know. I got a chance this week to meet with a couple different people that I hadn't been able to in a while. One of them was Crystal LeFay, which was cool. I dropped off something for her. We had her on the episode way back when, way back. You guys can go and check that out. All of the YouTube Survivor Girl podcasts are archived. So, but anyway, she's gone through a lot of stuff in her life, and she is an absolutely awesome person. She has an energy that you just feel drawn to. Like she's just a really one of those people that are like, life is life. This is how it is. What lessons can I learn from it? What, no matter what happens in life. And I'd love to have her back on the podcast, and eventually we are going to, because some other stuff has happened with her life that she wants to share, but it's going to be a minute. However, it was really cool to sit down with her. I was supposed to meet with her back when something, another kind of tragic thing happened in her life, and some things were happening in mine as well. And first, I was just like, she's one of those people that pick up on energies. And I felt during the time, it was like, I feel yucky. Like, I don't want to bring this to her. She's going through enough stuff. Like, I don't want to put that. And I'm sure that you guys have felt that in your life too, where you kind of stay away from some people because you just don't want to add more to their lives. And, I think that happens quite a bit. So I was explaining to her, and I was honest with her. I sat down with her and I said, I didn't come around because I felt yucky. And I didn't want to bring that to you, just being honest, just talking it out. And she says, well, like clockwork, just like what I told you guys, I pick up on energy. I knew you were going through something. It's okay. I would have understood. And, but that weight of coming out and saying, listen, this is how I feel. This is what's been going on. It felt so good to just be honest about it. There's things that are going to happen in your life that you might not want to do. You might not want to deal with. You might not want to admit, but once you finally do, it does feel good. It feels better. And that's part of the growth process, and everybody is growing at a different rate. We're all feeling and dealing with things that I had to grow up on. And it sounds funny to say that because I was 34 when everything happened with cancer. I think, yeah. And it sounds funny to say at 34 that I had to grow up. But it's the truth. I was still trying to figure things out, at 30 from all the things that I did, like I said in the beginning, at my 20s, and trying to tie up those loose ends. And that tragedy really did, make me face a lot of things. Stuff that I probably should have faced earlier on, but I didn't, And I always try to talk about that part of it too, is to live your life before something tragic happens, to make you open your eyes to things. That is super important, to not allow that kind of a thing to make you move forward in your life. Like I said, we all are growing at a different rate. And that right there can be hard. It can be hard on so many things, not only in your life, but on relationships and friendships and different things like that as well. So, with that being said, moving forward and figuring out what it is that you have passion about, and not letting it go, not giving up on the things that you want to continue to do and pursue. I grew up, and bless my mom's soul, she, like I've always said, my mom's was a great mom. I was very blessed to have such a wonderful person in my life. However, when I'd get all my crazy ideas, and I know everybody in the studio knows and has experienced this because I still do it to this day, she'd say, well, what about this? What about that? But what about, and it was always kind of, not necessarily negative, but kind of. And I'd have to sit there and go, oh, I didn't think about that. And then all of a sudden, my brain, I would start going, oh, maybe I don't want to do this. So I kind of feel like I do that in my own head with a lot of things, even still, because I learned that growing up. I learned to automatically kind of go to the negative on things and go, well, what if I fall on my face? And what if I fail? What if? That is a very good question, and I think a lot of people face that. And I think it was Jen Sincero that talked about it in her book, You Are a Badass. She talks about the big snooze, and that is what she considers it. So when you have an idea and you're just like, all right, selling my stuff and I'm moving or traveling the world, I've made my mind up. And then somebody comes along and goes, "What are you doing? Why would you do that? That is insane." Okay, maybe it's insane for you, but maybe it's not insane for me. It probably is. Like, if you know me, you know that that's not something I'm just going to go and do. Tony's like, "Yeah, maybe." But, but there is that you make a decision, you're going to jump, you're going to do it, and then you have someone hitting the big snooze on you going, "But," because they don't feel comfortable enough to do it. They don't feel like that's something that they could obtain, and it's not for everybody. Did you have something?
No, I was just going to comment on the fact that you've always been that one that if there's a new ceiling to be reached for an idea,
Yeah.
that's where you're going because most people are a normal ceiling level, and they're just like, "Well, wait, I want to do this,"
Well, and I
and
always
you're into the stratosphere. We're going, okay, there's some logistics, but I think we can figure this out.
I kind of feel like sometimes, like I'm holding on to a thing of balloons and they're taking me away and you guys are like grabbing my feet and trying to hold me like, "Hold on a minute though. Hold on. It's not lunchtime." And I get that. Like I can understand where that probably seems like it's crazy and it's weird to go from growing up with wait a minute now, hold on, like that might not be a good idea to going to wait a minute though. I'm 5'1". There's so much room for activities.
Well, that's my point. It's exciting. I mean, I look at the Leading Ladies Music Festival. You called me up and you said we're doing this, and
Right.
then 2 hours later you said we have top headlining, and I went, wait, what? How did that happen? But
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
but that's my point though. Is it's one of those things where I think the level of maturity that you have now
Mhm.
is you're still a dreamer, you're still a visionary, and you're a little more tenacious now because you have had successes and failures in the areas where someone
Yeah.
told you, but really, is it a good idea? And one track going, yes, it's a great idea, and I'm doing it.
Right. It's weird to see like when I stop and I think about the differences because yes, I have fallen flat on my face before. Who hasn't tried to do something and got bitten in the butt for trying, but I find it's different because of the I think my second chance idea like in my head that I've got, the second chance and I don't want to waste it for anything. But that does get tiring too for somebody who deals with anxiety and depression as well. However, let's talk about that a little bit. Dealing with anxiety and depression and getting around that to continue to keep moving forward and not giving up, even if it seems like it could be a silly idea, because of the self negative talk, self sabotaging. Who hasn't gone through that? Who hasn't like almost made it to the thing that they're trying to get just there and then sabotage themselves? Who hasn't done that before? Right. Okay. He's raising his hand over there. I'm like, I don't believe that. But it happens because we get in our own way sometimes. Sometimes we hit the big snooze, as she says. But to be able to navigate through depression and anxiety and whatever else that you're dealing with mentally, and still be able to be successful, that speaks volumes, I think, because there are days where I'm just like, I ain't writing a list. I'm not even getting out of these funky freaking sweatpants. I don't care. I'm going to the mailbox looking like this. There's two different sides I feel of me because there's days where I'm dressed up and I show up. There's days that I'm like, yep, this is what I'm wearing. This is who I am. And you have to kind of be able to embrace those things too. And even if I am sitting at home in my sweatpants, I'll tell you what, it doesn't take me long to go, okay, I got to get something done. But there are days though that I need to just rest and I need to chill out and I need to accept that. And I think that's another part of not being so hard on yourself to be because okay, if you're going a million miles an hour, and we know this by our job experience, who hasn't worked a job where you've had to do overtime? You've had to put in so much time that you're missing out on,
Every day.
well, okay. So you're missing out on your social and everything else, which, when you're working, you put that in your mind that you have to do that to be able to pay bills, whatever. So you're going and you're working and you're working and you're working and you're so exhausted, So that's kind of what happens mentally. You get exhausted. So even if you're not doing millions of hours of work or whatever, and you feel that you're hitting that low, you need to take that time. You need to listen to your body sooner than later, because your body will put you in a timeout. I've experienced that, and I think a lot of us here actually in studio today have experienced that, where you get sick or whatever it is that you face, and your body's just like, no, sorry, you're done. And I experienced that a lot with the adrenal fatigue. There was a lot of stuff that happened with that. So, and that's still something that I'm navigating. And, actually sitting down and speaking with Crystal, there's a lot of things that she faces with, the tired and stuff, and things that she's got a lot of stuff that's going on as well. And I know that we're all not alone in this. Like, I know that a lot of you that are listening and that are tuning in are feeling these kind of things. So be knowledgeable about it. Be mindful, I should say. Be mindful about what it is that you're going through. Honor if your body's saying it needs a nap. Yeah, it's frustrating because, growing up for me when I was a kid, I hated naps. I stayed up as long as I possibly could because I was afraid I was going to miss out on something. And I still feel like that happens today some days,
So many
sometimes.
times.
I mean, but honestly, now that we're not kids anymore, a lot of us, and even if you're not, you should still be mindful of your body and make sure that you're taking time to protect that. Because here, at 40, I deal with a lot of different things that could probably mostly slow a lot of people down. But I'm like, yeah, no, that's funny. You're cute. That's not happening. But you still have to take time out to relax and rest, and make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Don't give up on your dreams, but fueling yourself with the right stuff and getting the water, which I still fight with myself over. And if my doctor was listening, she'd probably give me a call, make me come in. But you have to you got to kind of pick and choose your battles when it comes to that kind of stuff too, and give yourself a break. Not only physically, but mentally as well. That's what I'm talking about with the negative mental talk, mental self-talk, whatever. What you got there? No? Okay. Just seen you make a funny face at the phone. I thought something was going on. So anyway, there's a lot of steps that you can take to thrive and survive, even if, the things that we're facing now, it's a lot of stuff going on. It's a lot of things to kind of navigate through, whatever. So you have to really listen to yourself, listen to your body, everything that, moving forward, to try to help you continue to keep on doing the things that you love as well. So you have to find a balance, whether it's 10 minutes a day to read, to do art, whatever it is that you're passionate about and that you love. Don't give up on it and continue to do it. And also keeping a schedule or whatever it is that you have to do, so that you're not getting sidetracked or not missing out on the things that really are important to you. So with that being said, I've talked about all of that kind of thing, about being kind to yourself, not letting go of what it is that you're passionate about, and no matter what age, continue to learn things. Don't give up on learning things. I mean, Tony, one of the things that you do is your gardening, and you started doing that how many years now? Well, yeah, but I mean, like with this.
Honestly, since I became an adult, I always had some sort of, whether it was a container, herb garden, or some sort of little plot
Hmm.
that I had grown tomatoes or peppers or strawberries or something along those lines. And I always, it was just the sheer therapeutic catharsis of watching something grow
Hmm.
and knowing that you're able to tend to that and nurture it and just watch it become this thing of beauty. Because with gardening, you're truly in the moment.
Right.
And if you're just doing, weed this, I gotta water it, then you're completely missing the whole catharsis of it being truly therapeutic for
Hmm.
you.
And in watching that stuff grow, it goes through all of the Michigan weather that we got, storms, hail, the extreme heat, and everything. But if you're tending to it, it still grows and it is bountiful, right? So it's kind of like that too if we look at ourselves like that, you know.
When you tend a garden, a lot of the times you're really not doing anything because you've already weeded, you've had good, clean soil that's aerated because you've picked out the good soil.
Mhm.
You got good hardy plants because you thinned out the ones that weren't that great to take the nutrients from the soil for the healthier ones. And I mean, humans are kind of like complicated houseplants. We just have emotions because you just need, some place to plant your feet, to have a foundation,
Right.
water, and sunlight.
Yeah. And for some people, like you said, planting your feet, some people are just travel. That's what they do. That's their life and stuff.
Right.
I'm a little bit more timid when it comes to that. It sounds like a great idea. I'm like, oh yeah. You see these like DIY buses that are turned into these really awesome homes and stuff, and all these like little things, and it's like, yeah, that would be cool. And then I'm like, I don't know if I'd like that though. For me, safety and having a place to call my own and know that from day to day I have somewhere to rest my head and everything is huge for my mental state. But when you talk about the growing and focusing on that stuff, I want everybody this week, those that are listening, to go ahead and do something that you've been wanting to do. Push yourself to do it this week. Give yourself that chance. One of the things that I have experienced recently is I finally decided to get myself a swimsuit. Now it covers up everything. It covers like my arms. It actually comes around here and covers up and everything. And the legs are, they're more like capris. But for me, that was a big step. It was a huge step. So we went yesterday, and I finally got to wear it, and it was awesome. I haven't worn a swimsuit since I was like 13. I've been wearing like a shirt and shorts, and I'm like, man, this thing is almost dry. This is cool. It was different and a different kind of confidence to go, okay. When I first walked up, I was like, some people here. I got that nervousness, but I still went and I did it. And you know what? After I finally let go of it, I felt good. I felt good about myself. So, if there's stuff that you guys are wanting to do, I mean, that probably sounds funny to some people, but for me, that's huge. I haven't had a swimsuit since I was 13. I've been wearing like shorts and long, long t-shirts, and hiding and covering up and, whatever. It's to that age, I was talking about the fabulous 40s. Even whatever age you're at, do something. Do something that sets your soul on fire. Make yourself happy and live in that moment, If it means that you're going to bake 50 cupcakes and share them with whoever, do it. Whatever it is that you've been wanting to do or wanting to try, give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? You tried, and if you fail, you fail. That happens. But keep on trying new things. If I wouldn't have tried this, I wouldn't still be here. And we're at what, episode 42? 42. Is there nerves before the show? Yes, a little bit. I mean, not as bad as it used to be. But do I always know what I'm going to talk about to you guys? No, I don't. But you know what? It's part of trying and doing something. This show might not be for everybody, and that's okay. It doesn't bother me. The ones that need to hear what it is I'm talking about are tuned in and listening, and they get it. Those of you that don't, that's okay. This might not be the show for you. There's a bunch of podcasts out there, and I recommend going and trying to find the one that works for you. Also, another thing, like I said, I always talk about self-care, mental health, thriving and surviving. You guys try to find those things that work for you. That's the best thing that you can do, because it's all about growing and it's all about evolving in life and learning how to get the things that you want to accomplish and take care of yourselves. But to be honest with yourself and continue to keep moving forward. And on that, I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to solidstateradio.net. They also re-air not only Survivor Girl, but they also re-air Don't Make This Weird and This Is My Brain. And, you can always go back on YouTube for all of those from Strange Friends Media SFM. you can go and check out all of those podcasts. There's something there for everybody, all kinds of different topics and subjects and whatnot. Those are all archived, on YouTube, and you can go check those out. And also, you can follow us on Facebook and Survivor Girl podcast Facebook page, SFM. You always will find stuff on there. I've got some different things that are going to be coming up for some giveaways for my birthday. But I have been having way too much fun getting out and doing things, so I haven't been able to get those posted. But I do promise you guys I am going to be getting that posted up. Some fun giveaways from Dragonfly Boutique that I have been working on. That's part of that passion and moving forward with making the jewelry and doing the things that I love as well. Again, this week, go out there, try something that makes you feel happy, passionate, and makes you feel alive. Keep on getting out there and trying different things. Work on yourselves, keep on moving forward, and, just do the best you can right now. Things are crazy, but, we can get through this. I think all of us can continue to get through this, thrive and survive, and wherever it is that you are at in your life, just keep on moving forward. So I'm going to go ahead and actually close out. It's a little bit early, but you guys have been hanging out with me, sticking it out, and I appreciate that very much. So thank you guys. I will be back again on August 2nd, and we will hang out, and hopefully soon, I will be having these guests back in the studio. Did you have something? Oh, okay. I thought you pointed at me. We have some more guests that will be coming into the studio. I'll let you guys go ahead. Again, thank you guys who donated and helped to get Brad his mobility scooter. That is super awesome. If there's any other things that we have coming up that you can help to donate and help people with moving forward in their lives, I will definitely put those up on Strange Friends Media, SFM, Survivor Girl Podcast, Don't Make This Weird. All of those you guys can check out. This is my brain as well. And again, another huge shout out, because without solidstateradio.net re-airing, you guys wouldn't be able to see that. Go check them out. There's all kinds of podcasts there as well. So remember, guys, take this challenge for this week, and remember, life is best lived.